Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining again. We're back. We weren't here last week, but we're back for this weekly session, call, Chizuk call, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to change the order around a little bit tonight. And a few people are away, and maybe they'll join us in the recording later. But I'm going to change the order around. Normally, we start off with the Tehillim. Tonight, we'll do the Tehillim at the end. And I just wanted to say as well, just maybe give people a chance to think if they want to say anything or share anything. I know a few people have expressed the fact that they feel that this is a difficult time, and a lot of people feel, obviously, everyone has their own way of dealing with things. People can be a bit lonely, and people can feel like they're in it by themselves. So part of the purpose of these meetings is to give people a chance to share if they wish. If anybody wants to say anything at the end, if anybody wants to write anything anonymously in the chat, so just to me that I can share, or to send me an email during the week and I can share something the following week, that is fine. Please feel comfortable to do that. Wanted to mention as well that from time to time, as you know, we have guest speakers on, and we've had a few times, we've had Chayalim and others who've come. There can be a little bit of a difficulty in getting people to come, especially Chayalim, for obvious reasons. But if anybody who's on here or who's watching or is listening to the recording later on, you have family members who are Chayalim who would be willing and are available to come and speak to us for a few minutes. So please let me know, and that would be more than welcome. I'll just mention as well also the Atufim project, which the response from the community has been pretty remarkable. We've raised close to 75,000 shekels already. So big yasher koach, and thank you to everybody for that. Again, there are more details to be coming soon. Hopefully, we're trying to set up some sort of a meeting with at least some people in the community that we've donated to. Maybe further projects down the road as well. So stay tuned for that. Okay, let me share with you a video, something which I saw this week, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. Something which I think I found quite inspiring. Let me share the screen. Okay, it's just disappeared. Bear with me. There we go.
אחים יקרים, מוריי ורבותיי, כמה שהמצב הוא קשה, צריך תמיד להאמין, צריך לזכור שבכל המלחמות שעברנו, ועברנו הרבה, תמיד נגמר בניצחון. מלחמת השחרור, סיפחנו את כל הנגב והגליל, למרות שעוד לא היה לנו צבא קודם, ניצחנו 7 מדינות ערב. מלחמת 6 הימים, איפה יש עוד מדינה שב6 ימים גברה על 3 אויבים, מצרים, סוריה וירדן. אחרי זה באה מלחמת יום כיפור. הופתענו, ביום הכיפורים לא היינו מוכנים. 2 מדינות גברו עלינו? לא. אנחנו גברנו על כולם וסיימנו את כל המלחמה ב18 יום נגד מצרים וסוריה גם יחד. אתם רואים שהקדוש ברוך הוא שומר ישראל ולא נותן לנו להפסיד אף מערכה אחת. חבל על הקורבנות, כואב הלב על כל האבדות, אבל צריך להאמין בישועת השם כהרף עין, שגם הפעם נזכה לישועה שלמה, לבניין שלם, ולראות את כולכם עולים לציון ברינה ושמחת עולם לראשינו. אמן.
Okay, that was a short video. Mizrahi has been producing these videos, different people, different inspirational leaders, to give us a bit of a chizuk in these times. And that was Rav Lau. He always has a way of saying things, the things we need to hear. And you think about what he's been through and where he's come from, to have that perspective. That's something which I found quite uplifting as well. I wanted to share with you as well, you know, one of the things that gives inspiration, I think, during these times, that was Rav Lau, and we have, you know, the leaders of our people. I think there's a sentence that we say in our tefillot that I've never felt so strongly as I have over the past few weeks, and that is the words Mika Amcha Yisrael. We say it Shabbat and Mincha every week, right? Mika Amcha Yisrael. Who is like Am Yisrael? Who is like these people? We see the strength, we see the resilience, we see the, I don't know how to translate the Hebrew word otzmot that are in our nation, and some of the families who've been in the media, and the letters that they've written, some of the letters that the soldiers have written, which unfortunately ended up being their last letters. But you read and you see the strengths of these what a zchut it is to be a part of Am Yisrael and to be part of the Jewish people. And there were two letters which I saw last week, and the juxtaposition of them was quite something. There was, unfortunately, as we all know, many soldiers that have fallen over the last weeks and over the last days. And I think it was on the same day. So there were two chayalim who fell, one from Tel Aviv and one from Yitzhar. You probably can't get, if we try and think of in Israel, two places that represent opposite things within Israel, Tel Aviv and Yitzhar are probably as far apart as it gets. But have a look at what was said by these chayalim or by their families or by those who came, representing really two different worlds, but ultimately I think representing one and the same world. And this is what they had to say. I'll put it up on screen for you as well. This was a letter. You might have seen it already because it's been going around and it's been doing the rounds. But this was a letter which was by Yosef Gitter, or Gitter, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but he was a soldier from Tel Aviv. He fell in southern Gaza. And this is the letter that he left for his parents and his family. He had left it encoded somehow on his phone, and then they'd be able to read it if the tragedy happened, which it did. And he says, Imma va'aba yekarim, ani mod ohev etchem. Says, Imma and Abba, I love you. Akol kmo she'amur liot, ani batzmi bacharti b'zeh. Everything is, this is what was meant to happen. This is what I chose. Ani chayiti chayim tovim u'manyanim. Yachad im zot, ani le'olam lo pachati me'amavet. I've lived a good life, an interesting life. With this, I was never scared of death. And I didn't have to go into the army. I could have hid away. That would have gone against who I am, what I believe, what I value. I didn't have a choice. If I could choose again, I would do the same thing. This was my choice. I went with it to the end. I fell with honor, with pride for my people. I have no regrets. I'm proud of you. I love you. You gave me so much. I had a wonderful life. And now he says amazing things. He says, I'm sure you are in a lot of pain if you're reading this. You'll get over it. That's what I want. The main thing I want. You have many people close to you who will support you. Look for something positive in everything that's happened. Be with the family, be with the grandchildren. Tazur Yisrael, ani beseder. And I don't know about you, but I just get goosebumps reading that letter. On the same day, there was another soldier from Yitzhar who died. His name was Yonatan Luber. And his father, Chagai Luber, writes the following message on Facebook after he hears that terrible news. He says, Mitoch otzma gdola shel Am Yisrael kulo, mitoch havanat hasha'ah gdola ba'am Yisrael mashmid et harua tzaruf me'olam, letzatzar ishi amok b'tormot ha'kaev. He says, these are all the feelings which come together. We realize this is a momentous moment for Am Yisrael. We are destroying evil from the world. Together with that, there is a deep personal pain. He mentions the fact that his son has been killed. And then he has a request. He says, first of all, we're proud of him. We thank him. We thank all those who have been partners in erasing this evil from our world, destroying our enemies. We have no claim against Hashem. We're not coming with claims against the army, against the government, against the mefakdim. He says, he says, we have one request from all of you, from the media, from everybody. The best thing you can do for the soldiers who were killed. He says, one day of unity. He's writing to the media. He says, don't publish anything that's going to cause machloket. Speak good things. He says, show everybody the good in all of us. One day of unity, of good things. That's what will make him happy. If only we can merit this victory. So those were two completely opposite worlds, two soldiers, one from the soldier, one from the family. But again, as I said, I get goosebumps just reading these messages. This is the that we are. This is the people that we are. There's something that is that can't really be put into words, and this is just to remember what we have. And with strength like that, with people like that, I'm sure, and I'm sure you're sure, that we will be victorious, that we will overcome this, with all the difficulty and with all the pain that we have that we're going through right now. So maybe another, just to add to this, something from the parsha as well, is how this all connects. Always connects to the parsha. But we finished Sefer Bereshit this week. We end off Sefer Bereshit as we end off all the Chumashim, right? We say Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek. We be strong, be strengthened. We end off with this message of inspiration, with this message of strength. What's very strange is if you look at the Chumash and you look at the way that it ends, so Sefer Bereshit, Dafka, Chumash Bereshit, unlike the other Chumashim, ends off not in a very positive way. Right? You remember the final pasuk, maybe we don't pay attention because we're all standing up at the end of Torah reading. Should we stand up or not? But it says, Vayamot Yosef ben 110 shanim. Yosef died at the age of 110. And they embalmed him. They put him in a coffin in Mitzrayim. That's it. And that's how we end off. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. Doesn't seem like the most uplifting. It doesn't seem like the most inspiring ending to the Chumash. Yosef died and he was in a coffin in Egypt, of all places. That's it. That's how we. That's how we end. That's how we get our get our inspiration. Even if you go back a pasuk or two pasukim before, really one pasuk before, it said, "Vayashpeh Yosef b'nei Yisrael emor." That's inspiring. That's a way to end off. Yosef makes everybody swear. Is Pakod Yivkod. This is the code. Spoke about it. This is the code of the sign of Geulah, of redemption. Hashem will remember you. Will surely remember you. You'll bring up my bones from here. That's the way to end off. Why do we end off? Yosef in the coffin, his bones in Egypt. That's the end. So it's one idea, which said that maybe it goes like this. I can suggest the following. That the end of Bereshit is really, this is where we're parting ways with Yaakov, with Yosef, with the Avot. We're moving on. We're moving into Sefer HaGalut. We begin this week, Sefer Shmot, Sefer HaGalut v'Geulah, the book of exile and redemption. We'll get to redemption. But first we have exile. We have hundreds of years in Mitzrayim, hundreds of years of the first Holocaust in Jewish history. And it's tough. And there is suffering, and it will be we've got babies thrown into the sea. It is very, very dark. It's a difficult situation. What is going to keep Am Yisrael going through that time? What is going to give us chizuk through those years? What is going to give us the chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek? So on the one hand, there's the pakod yifkod, there is the knowledge, the intellectual knowledge that this will not be forever, that one day there'll be a brighter future, that one day this will end, that one day will be somewhere else. But there is also the knowledge that before that one day, even now, maybe this is what the Torah is telling us, Yosef is there with us. We're in Mitzrayim, we're in the depths, we're in the darkest of places, and in there, we have the bones of Yosef there in the coffin in Mitzrayim. Yosef, Tzaddik, didn't disappear. He didn't go away. He didn't leave us. And in every generation, we have the leaders who are there, who are with us. And Hashem himself is with us. Imo anochi b'tzara, that's what we say That's what we say in Tehillim. Sometimes if things are dark and things are difficult, we can't necessarily do anything to make it better in that moment. But to know that we're not alone, to know that we have Yosef with us, to know that we have Hashem with us, that is perhaps the greatest. That is the greatest chizuk. That is the chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. And that is something that I think if we could get strength from that, from the time that when we were in Egypt, so all the more so we can get strength now. It's not an easy time. I'm not downplaying for a second what people are going through. And again, everybody has their own family and their own situation and their own worries and their own anxieties, and everybody has a different difficulty that they have to deal with. But when we look at, that's why I opened up with that video of Rav Lau, You know, what he went through in his life to get through where he is now. We look at the big picture of Jewish history. We have been through such darkness, and we have been through things. Somebody said to me, you know, this is the worst year in our history. What do you mean this is the worst year in our history? Do you know what we've been through? Do you know where we were 70 years ago, 80 years ago, 100 years ago, 500 years ago? This is not the worst year in our history. So yes, there is darkness, this is what to be. But if we could find the chizuk, the chazak v'nit chazek, with the bones of Yosef together in Mitzrayim, we can certainly find it here as well. There's another idea that comes from the end of this that I just wanted to share from Rav Soloveitchik, who talks about, he sees this whole story, this end of Sefer Bereshit, and this connects to the message we saw, the message of Achdut, the message that come out from those families, of what Yosef essentially is doing at the end of this story. When Yosef says, "Valitem et atzmotai mizeh," you shall take up my bones. So says Rav Soloveitchik, it's more than that. He says what Yosef is saying is we've now come full circle, almost. We've almost come full circle in the story of Yosef and the brothers and the dreams. In that, how did we begin? Yosef has his dreams, and the brothers reject the dreams, and they're not. Yosef says, "You're going to bow down to me." Anyway, Yosef becomes the ruler. They all come and they all bow down to him, and you have sort of Yosef on one place and all the other brothers somewhere else. Yes, the dreams have come true, but the unity of the family is not quite there. And says Rav Soloveitchik, that's essentially that estrangement that's taken place now is when it becomes full circle. Yosef may have been the one who's the ruler and the other brothers are bowing down to him, but at the end of the day, he still needs them. At the end of the day, there's something to reach his final resting place, to reach his final destiny. He can't do it by himself. He can only do it together with them. And that's why he commands his brothers to come in to take his bones, not just his children, because this is not just about moving his coffin, but it's about bringing the whole of Am Yisrael back together. And Yosef realizes that he needs that, just as they may have bowed down to him, but he needs the brothers with him as well. Let me read for you the way Rav Soloveitchik ends this off. And he says the following. He says, there is a subtle double meaning in Yosef's request, "V'alitem et atzmotai." You should take up my bones. The removal of my remains from Egypt should elevate my standing from estrangement to an integral constituent of the tribes of Israel. In this way, the antithesis of Yosef's dreams came to pass. Yosef figuratively prostrated himself before his own brothers as he begged them to fulfill his dying request. He was now utterly dependent on his brothers to attain his own redemption. On the night when the Jews were ready for their triumphant exodus from Egypt, the Midrash relates that Moshe delayed their departure as he searched for Yosef's coffin. In this way, Moshe acknowledged the importance of Yosef and his spiritual mission as the paragon of Jewish commitment in exile. Yosef had demonstrated that one could identify as a Jew and act in accordance with Jewish precepts, both in poverty as a slave and in royal grandeur as the ruler of Egypt. Without his example as a precedent, Jews couldn't have endured the centuries of enslavement in Egypt. And he goes on to explain that why it was Dafka Moshe who was dedicated to this task, because Moshe Rabbeinu is a descendant of Levi. Levi was the one who initially was, Shimon and Levi were scoffing at Yosef and his dreams, and the end of the story comes full circle that Moshe, the descendant of Levi, is the one who comes along and he carries Yosef's bones. He says Moshe not only physically carried Yosef's coffin, but internalized his legacy. This belated recognition constitutes the complete fulfillment. The sun, the moon, 11 stars prostrating themselves to me. Could there be a more beautiful example of such obeisance than Moshe carrying Yosef's coffin on his shoulders? Yosef's spiritual mission on earth was now validated, his second dream fulfilled in its entirety. In other words, this leaving this legacy that Chazak V'nit Chazek is, whatever we go through together now, we're all through it together. Am Yisrael, Yosef, Moshe, Shimon, Levi, everybody together. This is finally the unity of Am Yisrael, Tel Aviv, Yitzhar, whatever it is. And that's something which, again, we've spoken about it many times. We felt it so strongly at the beginning of this war. Over the past few days and few weeks, there've begun to be cracks. But each of us, from our place where we are, to work on that achdut, to work on that unity, to work on really feeling and coming together and being part of one people. And I think that is where our strength is. And if we ignore the noise, the background noises, we feel that I think that is really where the nation still is. That's one of the places where I derive strength from in these days, and I hope the same for you as well. So let's say the Tehillim now. We'll say Kuf Kaf Aleph and Kuf Lamed, the way we always do. I'll say that, followed by the three Mishaberachs. After that, anybody wants to say anything, or anybody wants to write anything for me to say, you're more than welcome. Otherwise, we will leave it there and we'll call it a night. Okay, share screen. Okay, we'll say Tehillim Kuf Kaf Aleph. Shir Lamalot. אשא להרים העין יבוא עזרי, עזרי מעם אדוני, עושה שמיים וארץ. אל ייתן למות רגליך, אל ינום שומריך. הנה לא ינום ולא יישן, שומר ישראל. אדוני שומריך, אדוני צלך על יד ימיניך. יומם השמש לא יככה, וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם. תהילים ק"ל. שיר המעלות ממעמקים קראתיך, אדוני. אדוני שמעה בקולי, תהיינה אוזניך קשובות לקול תחנוני. אם עוונות תשמור יה, אדוני מי יעמוד? כי עמך סליחה למען תברא. קיוויתי אדוני קיוותה נפשי, ולדברו הוכלתי. נפשי לאדוני משומרים לבוקר, שומרים לבוקר. יחל ישראל אל אדוני, כי אם אדוני החסד והרבה מופדות, והוא יפדה את ישראל מכל עוונותיו. משברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב, ויברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה על ישראל, וכוחות הביטחון העומדים על משמר ארצנו ועל אלוהינו. ייתן אדוני את אויבינו הקמים עלינו ניגפים לפניהם, הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמרם מקוצרה וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם, ידבר שונאינו תחתיהם ויצאם בחטא ישועה ועטרת ניצחון, ויקוים בהם הכתוב, כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההולך עמכם, ילחם לכם אויביכם להושיע אתכם, ונאמר אמן. משברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב, יוסף משה ואהרון דוד ושלמה, יברך וישמור וינצור את אחינו בית ישראל השפויים, בעבור שאנו מתפללים בעבורם. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, ישמרם מקוצרה וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם, יוציאם מחושך וצמוות, וישיבם מהרה לחיק משפחותיהם, ונאמר אמן. משברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב, משה ואהרון דוד ושלמה, יברך וירפא את כל הפצועים מהפיגועים ומהמלחמה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, להחלימם, להרפותם, להחזיקם, להחיותם, וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, לכל אבריהם ולכל גידיהם, בתוך שאר חולי ישראל, רפואת הנפש, רפואת הגוף, השתא בגלה וזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן. אחינו כל בית ישראל הנתונים בצרה ושביה, העומדים בהם בים ובהם ביבשה, מקום ירחם עליהם, יוצא מצר לברכה ומאפלה לרעה, משיבוד לגאולה, השתא בגלה וזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן. May all the tefillot be accepted to Ratzon. May we hear good news, Besorot Tovot soon for all of us and for all of Am Yisrael.